I'm Doug Massey, and today I'm going to be taking advantage of my 10-year final expense sales career experience to go over some of the pros and the cons of selling final expense insurance either remotely or on a face-to-face basis. And before we jump in, please like this video and subscribe if you're a new viewer. We're putting out new insurance sales content and final expense sales training videos like pretty much every week. A huge pro or plus about final expense sales is that pretty much anyone can sell it. Now, what I mean by that is that you can literally walk up and down the street going door to door making sales presentations, assuming this type of activity isn't breaking any local laws or community ordinances. And guys, if you'll stick around until the very end of the video, I'm going to show you how to get a copy of the Door Knocking Super File, which has some pretty awesome scripting, if I do say myself, that you're going to absolutely want for door knocking leads or even from a cold door knocking list. One of the biggest pros, I should say this is really just like a huge plus, is how the insurance carriers have made changes with the products over the past few years, and most of them have at least. When I first started, we door knocked leads, basically had to push or talk our way into the prospects' homes, would make the sales presentation, and when we did sell, we'd have to pull out the old paper application. Nowadays, of course, you just pull out your tablet and have the client sign right on the device, and if you are selling over the phone remotely, it's gotten like way easy. I mean, most of the carriers will give you multiple signature options for the client where you can text and or email them a DocuSign while you're on the phone with them. And if the client has issues with technology, like basic stuff like that, you can simply back up and do a voice signature option. The old way of doing a voice signature was horrible, like tedious and time-taking, as the agent would basically have to do a three-way call with the insurance carrier and or the representative, would ask all the questions on the application to the client again. From the perspective of a professional salesperson, it's exciting to talk about how these carriers have made the process super easy in comparison. Nowadays, the agent simply reads a HIPAA statement and asks the client if the information on the application is true and if it's okay to apply their signature on the application, and all the client has to do is verify that they are who they say they are and basically say, yes, you can apply my voice as the signature. Before we start addressing the negative aspects of final expense sales, I'd like to address one more plus or pro. Lead generation. Compared to other life insurance products and or especially Medicare insurance, the leads for final expense sales are like super ridiculously easy to generate. Now, in comparison, and mostly pretty cheap to buy too. If you buy leads from a vendor, you can get internet or Facebook generated leads for like under 20 bucks. You can get really good quality, high intent ones for around $35 each. You can also purchase lead generation systems, appointment platforms where the vendor will put the ads system on your computer and set it up on the cloud for you, or at least walk you through the process. Basically, they'll walk you through the process of setting up the whole thing. And if you happen to be a little technically challenged, like, you can use a computer, but maybe you can't build your own website, okay? This type of ads funnel system probably isn't gonna be something that you can manage. But for those of you who were born into using this type of technology, these systems are great for generating leads on the cheap. We're talking lead costs under $10 each, which if you're a telesales agent, makes your life a lot easier compared to just a few years ago. And if you're actually really good with the technology, you can actually figure out a way to set it up to where the clients set their own appointments. A talented professional can generate like 40 or 50 of these leads per day. Stick them into their auto dialer and voila, now you're making multiple sales presentations each day using leads that you're in complete control of and are actually generating yourself. As far as the negative aspects of selling final expense life insurance, it's mainly about the clients, the persistence, and what you're doing to prevent your clients from falling off the books. I mean, this is just where a lot of agents tend to drop the ball, and instead of doing this part right, they slack off, and the next thing you know, they're actually in debt. So instead of seeing months 10, 11, and 12 come around, that money, they end up failing big time and end up owing. With your typical term life client, or maybe like universal life type of sale, once that sale is done, in most cases, you don't have to do anything else. And like over 90% of these clients will keep the insurance throughout at least the first year. That's just not the case, guys, when it comes to final expense. You see, our market, our industry is usually on like a fixed and or I want to say limited income, and as a group, they have lower persistence. And unfortunately, in many cases, these folks are older and usually have like multiple health issues. So when you combine the fact that these folks have that limited income and can be kind of sickly and often uneducated, you're going to notice that a lot of these folks are not very responsible. And like we're talking not even responsible enough to manage a checking account. Once you've sold a final expense policy, you need to keep in touch with that client throughout the year. Basically, the work starts once you make the sale. And now you got to do like everything possible to keep that client on the books. And when done correctly now, you'll still have a decent persistence. I mean, if you're doing it the right way, you're staying in contact, you're sending a thank you note, you're reaching out to them on their birthday and stuff, you should still have at least an 80% persistence. And due to the issues that this market has, it makes them vulnerable to unethical insurance agents. The clients, I hate to say it, they get taken advantage of by certain people. So pro, they're easy folks to sell to, but con, a lot of these folks will buy a substandard insurance policy because they were manipulated to do so, and or won't even read over the policy when they do actually get it, so or be able to understand it when they get it. So they end up with something completely different than what they were told they're buying, and they don't even realize it. And a lot of times the unethical, I want to say potentially unethical agent will lie on the application to get the client insured. And now the client has a policy with their own signature, the client's signatures on it, and incorrect answers to some of the questions, which means if they actually die in the first 2 years of the insurance policy, their family will most likely not receive the face amount or full death benefit. We call this clean sheeting. It's basically when an insurance agent lies on an application on behalf of the client and totally screws them. I've sat down with potential clients who have ashtrays all over the house and or even would be smoking right in front of me. And when they go grab the old life insurance policy that maybe they purchased recently or a couple years ago or whatever, you can see where the agent checked the non-tobacco box in an attempt to give the client a better rate or larger face amount for less than what they will actually qualify for. It all comes down to they're just trying to make the sale. All right, let's close with a huge pro, the cross-sell. Our market, the senior market, is either on disability, Social Security, or Medicaid, and or will eventually be on Social Security and or Medicare. So this leaves the ultimate cross-sell, Medicare insurance. All right, so maybe not the ultimate cross-sell, but let me just give you an example. If you were to call your final expense client, there's no compliance issue with just flat out asking them if they'd like you to go over their Medicare insurance for them. This is huge because compliance with Medicare insurance is insane. And there are a lot of hurdles that you have to deal with, especially when you're working a lead, buying a lead. It's difficult, and now it can become very messy, well, at least to do it the right way. Let's say your final expense client has a Medicare Advantage plan that is either older and or doesn't have certain attractive benefits that other plans may have. Your client likes the plan that you're offering them, so guess what? It's an easy switch over the phone. And now they're your client for life insurance and Medicare. And with Medicare Advantage, you're gonna make over $300 per year every single year that client sticks with you and are your Medicare client. Literally, a lifetime income stream which can net you, the agent, think about it, do the math, over $3,000 per client over a 10-year period. And that, my friends, is as sweet as it gets. If you'd like a copy copy of the door knocking super file that I mentioned back at the beginning of the video. Just email me at doug@ufesonline.com for more info on working with us using our remote final expense appointments platform, where you can get 20 plus appointments on your calendar every single day. Just email me at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now get up off that couch and make sure that whatever happens, that you do something good for someone else today. Happy hunting.